Well, hello everyone. Hi, Pic'n'Mixers. Welcome this week to Auntie Mary's garden. Well, she's my Auntie Mary, which is why I'm quite near to her, because she's part of my household. And as you know, Mary helps on Monday nights at Pic'n'Mix. You've got a beautiful garden, Mary.
Yeah, very nice. William helps me with it.
Oh, Diane.
Yeah, he just cut the grass. He cuts the grass and keeps the weeds down.
Very good. Well, it's
Yeah.
lovely. I'd like him to do a bit of that in my garden as well. And I'm just looking, I've seen a beautiful tree over there. What's that tree, Mary?
It's an acer.
An acer.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a look.
It's got a lovely bark, peeling bark it has.
Okay, let's go and have a look at it. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? So it's called a Japanese acer, I think.
Yeah.
And it's got this beautiful bark on it, and it's glossy and it's shiny. And your trees are beautiful things. They're very useful to us. They help make the air that we breathe clean and healthy. They provide shade and shelter, somewhere for birds to live, and they're just beautiful to look at. I'm so glad that Jesus made trees when he made the world. It's beautiful, that. Really lovely. A Japanese acer. Well, I'm going to do the next bit of the story for you. I'm just going to sit down.
There's Izzy over there.
Izzy, come on, Izzy. Want to come and say hello?
Come here.
Oh, there we are. Hello. It's very nice of you to join us. Thank you.
Izzy?
That's Mary's dog, Izzy. So, when I say I'm doing a story with you, remember it comes from the Bible. These aren't fairy stories, and they're not stories I've made up. They're from the Bible, which is God's word. It's how God talks to us. So thank you very much for joining me for our Bible story. Do you remember last week, the last part of the story we did, we heard that it was harvest time. Harvest time. Actually, it's pretty well harvest time in our country as well now. But in harvest time, everyone would gather all the corn and the barley from the fields round about in Bethlehem. And it was very, very hard work. And one of the fields was owned by this man. And he's called Boaz. Now, there were lots of fields all around Bethlehem. But this one, and some others as well, I think, were owned by Boaz. So when Ruth and Naomi, remember they've got nothing, their hands are empty, cupboards are empty, their lives are pretty empty. They've come to Bethlehem and it's harvest time and everyone's busy in the fields. Now then, Ruth said to her mother-in-law, she said to Naomi, I'll go and work in one of the fields and I will gather some of the corn and the barley. Now, let me explain. When people went harvesting in the fields, it was a lot of hard work. I'll just stand up. So there you go. Gather in the harvest. They'd have a big sharp knife, a scythe. They'd cut it down and then they'd pick it up. And then they'd go and get some more until they'd got lots and lots. And then they would put it into stooks in the field. Now, as they did this work, they would drop some. I know I would, I'm always dropping things. But they would drop it accidentally. So they'd pick some up and some of it would fall. It would fall on the ground. And the law that God made at that time was that anything that fell on the ground was for the poor people. And so the poor people could come into the field at the same time and walk behind the harvesters. So there's the harvesters. They would walk behind and they could pick up what was on the ground. And that way everyone had something to eat. So that was good. So Ruth says to her mother-in-law, I will go into one of the fields and I will see if I can gather some of the corn and the barley that's fallen to the ground. And she waved bye-bye to her mother-in-law, and then she'd have to choose, wouldn't she? Which field would she go into? Do you remember last week I could see a kind man in the distance? Do you remember? Boaz. It was Boaz, and he owned one of the fields. I wonder if Ruth will go into one of his fields or maybe somebody else's fields. Well, in the Bible it says it just so happened that Ruth went into a field owned by Boaz. Do you think he will let her gather the corn and the barley so that she can take it home to Naomi so that they can bake bread and cakes? Do you think he will let her? Well, if you come back next week, you will find out. He looks very kind to me, though. I'm hoping that he will let her gather up some of the corn and the barley. Thank you very much for joining me. When we listen to God's word in the Bible, it's always good to think about how it reminds us of Jesus. And I was remembering that Boaz was kind. Do you know anyone that's kind in your life? I do. I've got lots of kind family and friends and people in my church and people I work with. Do you know someone who's kind? Who is friendly to you and who helps you? Well, do you know, I'm sure you do. And I know somebody who's the very kindest of all, and that's Jesus. Jesus is kind. And in that way, Boaz reminds me a little bit of Jesus, who is kind. So we're going to do our blessing, everyone. So it's the Lord bless you. The Lord keep you safe. The Lord give you his peace till we meet again. Amen. See you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. God bless you.
Bye.
Izzy, you coming to say hello, Izzy? Come on, Iz. Hello, Izzy. Oh, there she goes. Oh.
She's ringing her ring. Izzy.
Izzy,
Come here. Come on. Come and see.
come and say goodbye to everybody.
Oh, I think that's the best you're going to get.
Okay.